everyone. Welcome back to our masterclass sessions. For those of you who did not meet me earlier, I'm Jen, and I'm a senior manager in our merchant strategy team. And today I'm going to be talking about insights and data and reporting in the merchant portal. We have a lot to get through, but I would say I think of it more as like I want to do a deep dive on the data and reporting features in the portal. We know that there's a lot of information that DoorDash provides you, but it can be really hard sometimes to know what do you do with this information? How can you use it or prioritize it so you can achieve your business goals while also running your businesses. So I'm hopefully going to not only talk about how the features work, but give you guys some insights into how you can prioritize it against kind of everything else you have to juggle on your day-to-day. The merchant portal, it's a really important tool for you to use as you think about understanding how your sales have been performing, right? So we think that understanding how your sales are performing is key to figuring out how to grow your sales. So there's two main areas in the merchant portal where you can get access to this information. So today I'll be focusing on the reports tab, which is a new feature in the portal where you can see all of the reports that you pulled in the past and download them and access them in one simple place. And then I'll also be talking about the Insights Hub, which is an area in the portal where we have 4 different sections. And the Insights Hub really is where you can get more information about how to improve your business, improve your customer experience, and grow your sales. So the Insights Hub you can navigate to in the merchant portal. There's a section in the left-hand nav called Insights, and from there you can navigate across the 4 different sections. And the idea behind the Insights Hub is that it helps you, again, understand how your business has been performing. It helps you see where there might be areas of opportunity for you to improve your menu or improve your operations. It helps you respond to and meet your customers' needs. And ultimately, again, the whole goal is to help you grow your sales. And so there's 4 different tabs: operations quality, menu performance, customer insights, and customer reviews. And I'll get into each of those in the next few slides. But I would say, these are areas in the portal that you may not visit on an hourly basis, but I think even checking them on a weekly basis could be really helpful for you to get a deeper pulse into how your business is performing. So you hear us talk a lot at DoorDash about operations quality, and I think it's helpful to help draw the connection between what operations quality is and how it can help you in your business. So we have 5 operations metrics that we talk a lot about. And in the portal, in this tab, we will actually show you personalized information about your store's operations. So across the 5 different metrics, we will, on a regular basis, show you how you're performing against those 5 metrics and give you recommendations for areas that maybe you should spend more time on in order to improve how you're performing on those metrics. And so ultimately, we show you how you're performing against each of those 5 in comparison to a benchmark that we think represents sort of the best quality in terms of sort of the annual performance of the top 20% of our merchant partners on our platform. So you can see at a glance, okay, in this screenshot as an example, this merchant's wait time happened in this past month to be 3 minutes and 56 seconds. That is a little higher than what we have as the goal, which would be 3 minutes and 24 seconds. And so on that graph that you can see on the left, we actually show that, hey, merchant, in the morning, it seems like you have a longer wait time than in the afternoon. So that might give the operator a hint as to how to potentially improve that wait time. So in this example, if I was speaking with this business owner, I would say, hey, if possible, may want to consider if there's staffing changes you could make in the morning or maybe ways to streamline your operations so that you could get your food out the door just that little bit faster so you can hit your operations metric on wait time. On the flip side, We also want to make sure that you understand the cost of maybe some of the operations opportunities that you may have. So there are operations metrics like order quality or order accuracy, which tells you what percent of your orders have something that's missing or incorrect. In that example, you all know this, there's a monetary value associated with if there's an error, when you send food to the customer, right? We always want to make sure the customer is happy. So if something is missing or something is incorrect, we generally give them a partial refund. And so this not only tells you what percent of your orders have this error, but it also shows you specifically which items, and it tells you the value of those error charges. So again, thinking about how you might prioritize, $2.48 in this example may not be a substantial enough for you to say like, okay, I'm going to dramatically change how my sodas are set up. But if you saw that, you were frequently seeing that orders were missing sodas, you might consider changing where your refrigerator is for the dashers to pick up the sodas, or you might consider changing something else about your operation so that you don't lose out on those error charges. So the second tab in the Insights Hub I'm going to talk about is menu performance. So this is a way for you to see at a glance what your top selling menu items are, how that's been changing over time. And it also allows you to, it actually gives you personalized recommendations for ways that you could improve your menu. So we've maybe talked about this at other parts in the day, but just to reiterate, we all know that your menu is the way that you make your first impression with your customers, and it's super important in terms of how you tell your story and how you present the food that you have to offer to potential customers. And so we want to make sure that we can provide you data so that you can see what sells really well, what doesn't, how that's been changing over time, as well as recommendations, as I already said, for how you can make your menu even stronger. And so in this case, this is a screenshot of the product mix. So it's showing this restaurant that I'm sure this isn't a surprise. The naan is very popular in part because it's sort of a side, right, regardless of what entree you're selecting. But within that, the merchant can also see sort of, which entrees are popular, maybe if there's something that's been growing in popularity or declining. So you can just get an insight into maybe if you want to change your inventory levels or you want to think about running some sort of a promotion, you have a better sense of what's performing well. And you can compare this information versus last week or last month. So again, you can kind of see how that changes over time. We also, at the top of this page, give you machine learning enhanced recommendations. So we actually assess your menu versus maybe similar restaurants and give you recommendations, say, for example, to add a photo if you have a really popular item that doesn't have a photo, because we know photos increase your menu conversion. Or we might also tell you to add a description. So it makes it hopefully really easy to see how you can improve your menu. We've gotten a lot of feedback over the years that DoorDash has a lot of information about our merchants' customers and that merchants would love to know more about who their customers are. And so we launched this tab about a quarter ago. And the idea is that it really allows you to understand who your customers are and do a little bit more digging so you could grow your customer base. So it'll show you at the top a breakdown of your customers split between new, so folks who've never purchased from you before, occasional, folks who've maybe purchased from you twice or less in the past 90 days, and frequent, or who I think of as your most loyal customers, folks who have purchased 3 or more times in the past 90 days. And we show you how the split of your customers across those 3 areas has changed over time. While there's no perfect equation for how exactly your customer base should be split across these different categories, I do think it's really helpful to see if, let's say, your new customer percent has been declining or rising, especially if you're thinking about running a promotion or doing any sort of marketing activation with your customers. And so this lets you sort of track that over a period of time. It also gives you some information about not just what percent of your sales is contributed by each of these types of customers, but it shows you the difference between their average order value and what percent of them are on DashPass. In this example, the average order values are pretty similar between occasional and frequent, but frequently when I meet with restaurants, we find that, your most loyal customers may have higher or lower average order value than maybe your occasional customers, but it helps you kind of understand who do you want to focus on, how might you drive more sales to your business, and where do you maybe want to spend more energy? Is it getting new customers to try your menu, or is it getting folks to shop with you more frequently? On here as well, we also have customized recommendations for advertising or promotions that you can run. If you were to click on one of those call to actions, you would be brought to a page that would already have a pre-populated recommended promotion that you could run, and you can modify it. But again, it all ladders back to who are your customers and how you could begin to grow your customer population. At the bottom of the page, we also have this, I think, really interesting visual representation of where your demand is coming from. So we actually take your store location, we've mapped it, and then within various zip codes around your location, we show you where the demand for your orders is coming from. It's a heat map, so the darker the color, the more orders are being generated from that area. And if your store has multiple locations, you can actually see this heat map with multiple locations represented. And it does two things. One, I think it helps you visually understand where your order's coming from. And if you were considering changing your delivery radius, it gives you an idea of the impact that could potentially have. And then second, if you are thinking about expanding your footprint, in this example, we see that there are some hexagons that are shaded in that are pretty far away from where the store is located. And so that could begin to give you a signal for where you potentially may want to open a second or an additional location. And you can filter this by, this is currently showing all the customers, but if this restaurant wanted to look at just where new customers are coming from, or those other types of customer segments, you can also filter and toggle between those different customer segments as well. So again, as you're thinking about running promotions or thinking about expanding your footprint, those are some great ways to get more data about your customers. So we know that it's super important to maintain a pulse on what your customers are experiencing and what feedback they're providing to you when they're ordering from DoorDash. And we want to make sure that you as the owners have the ability to understand what your customers want and to be able to communicate back and forth with them. So in the customer reviews section of the portal, you have all of those different tools at your fingertips. So you can, at a glance, see how many ratings you've received during a period of time, what your average rating out of 5 stars is, see how that's been changing, and also see your lifetime rating, right? So you have an understanding of what has been my total rating during my time spent on the DoorDash platform, and how has that maybe changed in the past month or the past week. You can also filter the ratings. In this case, this merchant has only received 5-star ratings in the past week, but if they had received different star ratings, you could filter and say only look at the 5-star reviews or only look at the 1-star reviews. So again, you can kind of quickly get to what information you're looking for. And within that, you can actually open an individual order, see what they ordered, see what if the customer left any comments, see what comments they wrote, and you can actually respond to them directly through this tab. So let's say, for example, Kurt D gave 5 stars. We open up his order. We see that Kurt ordered multiple entrees, and seems like somebody who we would like to keep coming back to our restaurant. You could actually reply to him, and you could freeform write a response, or you can use one of our templated responses and just say like, hey Kurt, so glad that you loved our food, really excited that you enjoyed the tikka masala and whatever, and the garlic naan, really excited for you to come back. And you could also optionally provide that customer with some sort of a promotion. So you could say, here's a $5 coupon for you to come back, and spend it the next time you spend $40 or more, or whatever the case may be. But even if you don't want to give a promotion, you can, at a minimum, just communicate back and forth with that customer. And I think the same is true if they have some sort of feedback for you as well, right? So you can see, okay, this person was less satisfied with their experience with me. Why is that? Was something wrong with the order? Did they misunderstand what they were ordering, right? Whatever the case is. And again, you can respond. And again, there's templatized responses, or you can freeform respond and try to entice them to try the restaurant again. I would also say this is also really helpful if you're trying to understand why are my ratings going down. So maybe you don't want to spend as much time double clicking into what Kurt specifically said, but you want to more understand what are the general themes that I could be improving upon to make my customers happier. You can also be in here kind of filter, and we have different tags, and you can see like, okay, multiple people have said that my food was spicier than they were expecting. Maybe I need to think about putting some sort of description with those items that indicates like these are very spicy, or some way to modify the spice level as an example. So we really view this as it can be a quick glance at how customers are responding to you, or it can be great fodder for you to figure out how you could improve your menu, add menu enhancements, or improve your operations, all of which could create a better customer experience. The next section in the merchant portal is called reports. This is a pretty new feature, so I'm going to just spend a minute talking about it and why it's helpful. So the reports tab is where you can view and generate custom reports for your business. So while everything I just talked about is beautiful and helpful to look at when you're in the portal, we also know that as business owners, you likely want to be able to export your data and manipulate it, and you want sort of the raw information that goes behind those visuals. And so we have a tool in the reports tab called Report Builder that allows you to build custom reports with your data that then you can analyze and use however you need. So here, this person happens to have pulled a variety of different reports. You can see a history of the reports you ran. So let's say, for example, you're like, ooh, there was a report I ran a couple weeks ago. I don't really remember what it was, but I liked it. You can go back in here and pretty quickly see like, oh, right, that was my sales by week report. And then you can generate it again. And you can also click on scheduled reports. So let's say you're more of a set it and forget it type person. You can set up a schedule. So let's say you want to receive a sales report on a weekly basis forever. So you can just create it once, and then it will automatically be generated once a week and delivered to your email inbox, and you can download it from the reports tab. So you can kind of set up whatever sort of reporting you want one time, and then come back here and reference it, and then you don't have to worry about remembering to pull it when you're also trying to run your business. And so the report builder is a tool that allows you, like I said, to generate custom reporting that can help you meet your needs. So there are many types of reporting available, and we're constantly building more into the platform to make sure that you can get access to the information that you need when you want it. But for now, we have different reports depending on what DoorDash channel you're using. So I know many of our restaurants are on Marketplace, but we also have reporting for Storefront and for Drive. And within Marketplace, we have multiple types of reports. So we have sales reporting, operations reporting, and financial reporting. Within each of these, there are also subsets of reports that you'll receive. So when you pull this report, you'll actually receive a file that has a zip file that has multiple files within it. And so that'll help you analyze whatever it is you're trying to look at. So for example, with sales reports, you would have not only your sales information, but you would see things like your average ticket size, total number of orders, and you could even compare across different types of customers that I was just talking about earlier, new versus returning as an example. Similarly, for ops reporting, we have reports that correlate to all those different operations quality metrics I was talking about earlier, so things like order accuracy, cancellations, etc. And then we have a section for financials reporting, which if you stick around in 11 minutes, I will be giving a class about that more specifically. But at a high level, the financials reports just give you a sense of your transactions, your payments, etc. from DoorDash. So either way, you can pick any of those types of reports, and you can pick and customize which locations you want to pull this for. You can pick and choose the start and end dates for these reports. We have data in this available up to 2 years back, so you could really look at quite a range of data if you want. And you can also choose how you want to view it. If you want to view it by order, great. If you want to view it by week, great. But there's all sorts of ways you can slice and dice the data so that it's most useful for you. And then once you generate a report from Report Builder, it'll show back up in your Reports tab. All right, so I know I covered a lot. So if you have additional questions, we have an article in our DoorDash Merchant Learning Center all about how to generate and get information about your business's performance. And specifically, we have information about how to pull reporting. So here is the QR code, but ultimately there are multiple articles that kind of cover what I just talked through. But I would say store management is probably the best place to start. Thank you so much for joining this masterclass about the Insights Hub and reporting.